Om Bhadram Karneभिः शृणुयाम देवाः Bhadram Pashyemakshaभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसत्तनूभिः विषेण देवहिते यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. So may we all hear auspicious words within the ears while engaged in sacrifices, in our karma, in our responsibilities. May we see auspicious things everywhere with our eyes while praising the cosmic entities like gods and goddesses with steady limbs. May we enjoy a life that is beneficial to all in nature. Seeking blessing from Indra, the Lord of gods in heaven, Pushan, the supreme, rich, all-knowing God of earth, Garuda, as Vayu, the fastest moving, removing all the evils, Bruhaspati, the teacher of Indra and all gods, ensuring our welfare. Before I go, some questions which I try to answer. The modern education system has brought us to understand mathematical equations, and science is explained through equation. Can we represent, is there a mathematical representation of Vedas, which will help in understanding Vedas or the concept of consciousness better? Sciences continue to explore and understand nature. In Vedas, can we infer that there is nothing more to explore and that we only have to understand reality as explained in the Vedas and Upanishads as final reality? Very good. So mathematical equations have been developed, and we have the Nyaya Shastra, that is the Brahma Sutras. They're all in the form of sutras. Sutras are like mathematical equations, E equals mc squared. And if we used the mathematics, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, differential equations, and several other things, our ancient masters took logic to great extent, and they brought out these dimensions. And we had put them in modern times. The Naveenandaya particularly has such great logical excellence, which even goes beyond our normal mathematical logic. That all has to be unraveled and put in modern times of mathematical equations. Then the second question is that science is progressing. Similarly, the Vedas, the understanding of our Sanatana Dharma also is progressing, or is it finished? No. Modern science has finished only the physical world, Annamaya Kosha. But it is moving towards understanding Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha, and even that which goes beyond. Therefore, the Upanishads brought out the whole essence, and only we have to understand them, experience them, bring it to our life, and bring it to the whole society. With that, we continue. Anybody having other questions, please write and give, or you can put it even in the chat box. You can do. So we saw that the greatest contribution of the Upanishads are in resolving the conflicts in our lives. to overcome the fear of death, to handle stress and gain mastery over the stress management, and to get an infinite happiness, unchanging happiness, and to understand the reality in its totality and the meaning of life. Conflicts can arise at several levels. Sattvic actions are all featured by ethics, duty, and others. But when there is conflict between two ethics, which is better of the two? Similarly, both duties are good, duty for the parent, duty for the nation, which is better of the two. When there is a conflict between one duty and one ethics, like Arjuna, which is better? And why follow this ethics? And why we have to follow duty? And what is the meaning of life? These are resolved by understanding the higher dimensions of Vidya and Avidya in the Upanishads. The solutions are found in the Vedas. Vedas are essentially the knowledge base of our country. It is a treasure house of knowledge, coming from the word Vidijnane. Vedas means treasure house of knowledge. All the knowledge. And the four Vedas have been divided into two categories, Puramimamsa, Uttarmimamsa. Puramimamsa has the Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda, while the Uttarmimamsa has the Jnana Kanda, is the treasure house of knowledge, and the science of the Veda, science and technology. Like we have evolved science and technology today. Science is to understand the reality, and as the understanding increases, how to apply it to bring it to our day-to-day life. We found electricity. How to make use of this electricity for our purpose. The light, the heat, the magnetic effect, all these things have been brought forth. Similarly, how to use this science to our day-to-day activities. That is the technology. That is Puramimamsa. Among thousands of Upanishads may be available, 800 are available in print, but the most important are the 10 Upanishads. Isha Kena Katha Mundaka Mandukya, Aitreya Taitreya Prashna Chandogya, Brihadaranyaka. Brihadaranyaka being the biggest, Mandukya being the smallest. The subject matter, as I mentioned, I'm quickly revising what we have understood. Search for happiness and quest for reality. The goals of modern science and Upanishads match in search for reality. The goal of science, which started 400 years back, was to find out whether the reality from where this whole creation has come, and is there something beyond. The Upanishads also dealt with this reality, but it took the other aspect, which is more relevant to everybody, that is happiness. We all want more and more happiness, and how to do that. The modern science, as I mentioned, investigated outside, where the Upanishads went inside. We used external labs, Upanishads used internal lab, they call the mind, which has the flexibility. In search of reality, the modern science has understood everything about the structure and laws of this physical universe, and has complete success. Equals MC square, the structure, everything, nothing but energy. The laws, the classical mechanics and quantum mechanics. Now science is in a turning point to go more to understand the deeper dimensions, the subtler and causal dimensions of this universe. We have not tracked yet what is the structure of prana, what are the laws that govern them prana. If quantum mechanics has brought a little bit of freedom for the electrons and fundamental particles, it can move in any direction. Similarly, the prana can change by itself. Swayameva piratam yati, swayameva tanavam yati. So how to bring this dimension of freedom into our scientific understanding is the start going on. Just like Schrödinger was able to bring the dimension from classical mechanics to quantum mechanics to move from deterministic approach to the probabilistic approach. We have to move from this probabilistic approach to higher dimensions of probability. That the quest is on, that the breakthrough research. And then we have to go to the mind and intellect and emotions and consciousness, everything. So Upanishads have fathomed the entire thing, and that can give the direction to modern science. You saw how Upanishads give the direction to these great scientists of modern times. We have understood in Upanishads that there are two dimensions. One, the Jagat, the body, the Vyashti and the Samashti, which go on changing and changing and changing. Ever changing dimension of this Jagat. And there is an unchanging entity called Self at the base of all changing. Then we also understood the methodology of modern science Upanishads match in most aspects. That is the methodology of the Upanishads. Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Jnana. Shravana is hearing, setting up a hypothesis. Just like in modern science, we set up a hypothesis. Then you have to design that. So the Manana aspect is to think about it, question that, and see how best we can develop a design for this. In modern times, we have randomized controlled trials, double-blind research, and others. Similarly, our ancient masters also developed by using the Manana how to use logic to build exacting designs. But then they started doing the Nididhyasana. Just like after designing the experiment, we had to conduct the experiment. We had to repeatedly do the experiment. And we had to have the multi-centric trials and see whether it is possible for all these people. Similarly, Nididhyasana is that experimental dimension. It's called tapas also. Nididhyasana is meditation, contemplation, and tapas. And when you do that repeatedly, a large number of people do that in various places, then inference comes at the jnana. And a person having this jnana, has the inference, is called as self-realization. But that's only the knowledge that he gets, but it has to descend down into his entire system. He had to bring that knowledge base in all his actions and in his personal growth. Then it becomes Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is the relief of all bondages, the freedom even while you are alive. Then comes advanced Jnana Yoga, in which we go to the higher dimension, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnana, Anandamaya Kosha. And you got greater and greater powers. All the Ashtasiddhis start coming up. Finally, you relinquish everything and reach the ultimate, the moksha, the Paramatma, the Brahman. This is the whole methodology. So, rigorous of scientific research can see how this has been built. In modern scientific research, first we form the hypothesis and you have to disprove the null hypothesis. That is the objective. Then you design the study. How RCT trial. Now the gold standard is double-blind randomized controlled trials. And you conduct the experiments with measurements, all measurements parameter. And have repeated multi-centric trials. If everything comes out right, then you have the inference. That inference is put in the form of textbooks. So the rigor has started continuously increasing more and more. When a new hypothesis is made, it becomes more difficult and more rigorous, more questions. So when yoga has to be brought to this level, we had such experience. So you may all remember our publication in the British Medical Journal, 1986. We conducted research from 1979, conducted the randomized controlled trial on bronchial asthma, 54 patients of asthma. And we followed them up for 54 months. And then we sent this paper to one of the good journals in India. Immediately they rejected. Now, then our professor of Dr. Nagaratha and ours, Sharapa, he said, these people don't know the worth of this wonderful work, a breakthrough research that people have done. That's published in British Medical Journal. He said, Indian journal also is not publishing. How can BMJ do that? He said, no, we'll do that. Then only these people will learn. In India, they said. Then we sent. Naturally, quick came the response, rejected. Then our Professor Shirakshapa, who was a great medical professor, he wrote, I think, why are you rejecting? Is there something wrong in any of the steps that we have taken? Hypothesis, design of study, is it wrong? And the experiments that we have done, is it wrong? The parameters that we have collected, any problem? And we have conducted in different places. And the people who conducted, Dr. Nagaratna, MRCP, in the medical world, from England, are they not okay? So he wrote a very strong letter. So please start a review process. Then they sent to 3 reviewers. And from each one of them, we got about 40 to 50 questions. And we wrote all the answers, about 120 pages. And we sent it. At that time, we didn't have email. The whole process takes a long time. Then they brought down the questions to 15 to 20 questions each. Then again, we brought about 70 pages answering them. Then came down to 5 to 10 questions each. Another 20 pages. Finally, they ended up with 3 questions, which we answered and finalists accepted. And 1986, it became a breakthrough paper. That's the rigor today of scientific research. Very, very rigorous. Once it comes up, it went all around the globe. Yes, yoga for bronchial asthma is very, very helpful. Then we had a long thing, on a bigger thing, 660 patients, and published in American Journal of Asthma. That's the rigors of scientific research. The question comes whether we also had such things. What are the hypotheses that the Upanishads bring about? There are 4 major conclusions of the Upanishad. They are called Vedanta Mahavakyas. One is Tattvamasi. You are that. You are not just this body, you are that ultimate reality. That is the first teaching, that the hypothesis. Then you do the experiment individually and says, yes, I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that all pervasive reality. I am not this body. That comes in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 1.4.10 of the Yajurveda. Then, what is the nature of that Brahman? Brahmasmi means Pragnanam vai Brahma. It's called. Pragnana is this thing. That is from Aitreya Upanishad. Then, Ayamatma Brahma. This self is Brahman. 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 Everything is Brahman. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. So, this is the set of 4 major conclusions that the Upanishad bring us. So, they are called the Vedanta Mahavakyas. Tattvamasi. You tell, and the teacher starts investigating, and he conducts the experiment on himself, and Aham Brahmasmi, he realizes. And he says, whether only I am Brahman, what about others? If I am Brahman, they also should be Brahman. All the living beings. What about not only the non-living beings, they are also Brahman. And what is the nature of that Brahman? Pragnanam vai Brahma. Therefore, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. So this was the whole essence for Upanishad, the science which has unraveled. And it has got the complete dimension of the whole creation. And that is which is beyond. And in our Upanishads, Brihadaranyaka and others, they bring about this dimension in a very rigorous way, just like science. Janak Maharaj was a very great Gnani. And he used to have a large number of conferences. And in each of the conferences, as the king, he would take care of all the people. And he used to have 50,000 people, 1 lakh people coming. They're all coming from different parts of the country. Just as we have international conference now, people coming from all over the world. And the entire thing was funded by him. And during one of the such conferences, all these people had come, they had put different residences in the form of huts. All arrangements were made excellently well for their food, clothing, boarding, lodging, everything. And it was a 5 days conference. And the first day, all these people came, inauguration was there, and Yagnavalkya was the chief guest. He is considered to be one of the greatest seers, a Brahmagnani called. Brahmagnani, the person who has all advanced yoga, Upanishad, not only the Sthita Prajna, but the higher thing. He would have all the siddhis. That was Yagnavalkya. Therefore, he was asked to give the speech. And he started giving the speech. But when giving the speech, he was always referring to Janaka. He was looking at him and telling. He never bothered about other people. Therefore, lot of these Brahmins who were there and many others, they started, what is this fellow? He's a great Gnani and he is looking at Janaka and he's not looking at us. We are great Pandits and great scholars and great researchers and great people from all the Vedanta, everything is there. But you're looking at him, king, you're trying to butter him. They started talking like this. Then Janak Maharaja wanted to teach him. Yagnavalkya and these people planned. What did they do? Yagnavalkya one day announced it was the second day. When the lectures were going on, there is a messenger who comes and the messenger says, "Oh, King Janaka, I'm so very sorry that we have a bad fire that has come. It has started burning all our huts, but we are making all our efforts to quench the fire." Hearing that, the whole assembly, everybody started running to find out what's happened to our thing and others. And the whole conference had to be stopped on that day. Then they went and all arrangements were made, and the next day and the third day, they all came back by the afternoon. All arrangements were made, everything was set. Then the third day was going on. Then the fourth day, again the messenger comes. Messenger comes and says, "Oh, Janak Maharaj, we are very, very sorry because now the whole treasury is on fire." What did Janaka say? Yagnavalkya, please continue and let not the assembly stop. And our people are there, they look after. And Yagnavalkya said, look at the difference between you people and Janaka. You people did not have anything of your own there. Everything was provided with Janak Maharaj. Your boarding, lodging, everything was taken care of him. But when fire came, you all ran helter-skelter and left the assembly, conference assembly. But look at him. If the treasure gets into the fire, the king has lost himself almost. The money is gone, but look at his equanimity, look at his grandeur. And he said, yes, Akhilayam, Mithilayam, Pradiptayam, Ame Kinchit Bhavishyati. He says, not only the treasure, the whole Mithila, can it burn? But I am least bothered. Come on, Yagnavalkya, let us tune ourselves to the ultimate reality. That is the thing that Janaka Maharaj had. So these were the type of tests that were done. Then, after this episode, the last day, the fifth day, Janaka Maharaj announced, now all of you are there, great scholars and others. Anybody who claim themselves to be the Brahmagnani, please come forward. and they have to answer all the questions. And if you succeed, I'm going to give you 1,000 cows, something like Nobel Prize, Then everybody was silent. Nobody was coming back. They were the Gargi, they were great scholars, they were everybody. Then Janaka started looking at Yagnavalka. Then Yagnavalka slowly comes up. Then he says, Janaka, please send these 1,000 cows, to my ashram. Everybody became very angry. This Yagnavalka, he is claiming him to be Brahmagnani. What nonsense, you are so egoistic. It should be humility embodied. Instead of that, you have become so egoistic. He says, no, since nobody is coming, I am very desirous of these 1,000 cows. Therefore, I asked him, Gokama eva vayam sma. I've only fond of these cows they have taken, So if you have some questions, you ask me. And one by one, all the people started asking questions, throwing questions, just like our reviewers send questions, over behind their paper. And people who are the Nastikas, they said, how do you prove there is God? How do you prove there is goddesses? And all these things. Everything he answered beautifully. Then came the other philosophers who were there. One by one, they all started questioning. The whole day it was a question-answer session. And there were the Vimamsakas, there were the Buddhists, there were the Jain. Everybody were all putting their things. And Yagnavalka was giving answers to everybody. Finally, Gargi is considered to be one of the greatest Vedantic masters. Then Janaka said, Gargi, you ask question. All people, Yagnavalka said, if you question and if Yagnavalka answers, then it is done, you are telling. Because such was the prominence given to women in our country. And Gargi started asking very deep questions. So the main question was, if Brahman is beyond space-time causation, if it is pure consciousness, how can it be the Jagat also? One side you say it is beyond space-time consciousness, but you say Jagat, which is continuously in a phase of change, bound by space-time causation. If that also is here, then will it not be that he get bound? That was a brilliant question that Gargi asked, and Yagnavalka answers beautifully. Just like you have got the water, you have the ocean, the samashti. You have the waves, this is the vyashti, individual waves. And the waves are the ocean. This is also water. And everything is nothing but water. In modern science, you understand everything is energy in the physical world. So, energy by itself is beyond space-time in a sense. And everything that we see in the physical world also is energy. Then he gives the example of mud and the pot. Mritika eva satyam. The pot and the made out of mud is mud, mritika. And therefore everything is mud and mud and mud, pot. Then the gold, various number of ornaments are there. They're also gold, and the basic content is also gold. Therefore, everything is Brahman. It's manifested and unmanifested form. When he gives that answer, Gargi said, yes, done. He has answered every question. There is no other answer to be done. And there was a young, brilliant guy, very naughty guy, very rebel. It's called Ashwara. Ashwara asked a question. Sir, everything you say, Annamaya Kosha come from Pranamaya Kosha from Manomaya Kosha from Vijnanamaya Kosha come from Anandamaya Kosha, and the Anandamaya Kosha come from Brahman, ultimate reality. From where does the Brahman come? And he said, Brahman is beyond space, time, causation. It is beyond questions. Therefore, there is nothing from where Brahman comes. And he says, no, I don't agree. You must tell me from where Brahman comes. Very naughty, this thing. Just like you said, for all other things has come from Brahman, you must tell how and from where Brahman also comes. And it says, see, as long as you have the entire intellect on hand, you can always answer question. I will ask you a simple question. Whether the egg came first or the hen came first, whether the seed came first or the tree came first, you answer. From where did that come? Where did the tree come? The seed. From where did the seed come? From the tree. Which came first? How did it happen? Is there a question? So the questions are themselves are bought on some assumptions. What is the assumption? Everybody should have a beginning, should have an end. But here it is a circle. In the circle, how do you do that? Similarly, there is a circle of the entire thing, it goes on and on. So similarly, everything is there, and as long as the intellect goes on questioning, then you go to a stage where you go beyond the intellect. Then there cannot be questions. When you reach that state of transcendence, vidyate hrudaya krantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, kshiyante chasya karmani, tasmin drushte paravare. That is the Upanishad mantra, it says. When you reach that state of transcendence, there cannot be questions. Ask another thing. Ashwara, please tell me, when you go to sleep, can you ask this question? You ask this question in sleep, deep sleep, sushupti, not dream. Even in dream, you can ask the question. Can you ask any question in sleep? So therefore, this question is irrelevant. And Brahman is the ultimate reality. And there is nothing beyond Brahman. There is nothing from where Brahman has come. He explained beautifully. Everybody said, yes, they had a standing ovation. But Ashwara was still naughty. He said, no, you have to tell me. I don't believe, I don't accept all your logic, everything. Then finally he looked at Janaka. And he told Janaka, if this fellow is going to talk like this thing, if he doesn't want to do that, I'm going to take the necessary action for him. Ashwara, stop talking. If you continue to have this questioning, question, that the naughty question, I have no answer. I have answered, everybody have done. If you continue, then your head will roll out. Then Ashwara, no, I don't believe. And everybody may accept, but I don't accept. You're wrong, you're not a Brahmagnani. Then Yajnavalkya said, his head rolled. So Yajnavalkya had all the Ashtasiddhis. So that is the rigor that our ancient masters used to have. And if somebody could not prove their hypothesis, they had to come back for the next thing. Where lakhs of people will be there from all things, astikas, nastikas. So that is the thing based on that Vedanta Mahavakyas have come. We have seen the subject matter of all Upanishads, search for reality, quest for happiness. And every Upanishad had their own methodology, one or more methodology. Mandukya Upanishad had one, Avasthatraya Viveka. Prashna Upanishad had 5. Brihadaranyaka has 50s, hundreds of methods by which you can reach. They are called the prakriyas, the methods for getting them. So modern science has unraveled the structure and laws of this physical universe. Energy as the structure, quantum mechanics and classical mechanics as the laws. In the body, we understood what is the anatomy and what is the physiology of the body. So, yoga spirituality form the basis of this Sanatana Dharma, the ancient science. And they also enunciated the structure and laws of creation and reality. So, this all contained in our trifold structures. Once we inform, it goes into the textbooks. Similarly, our textbooks are Prasthanatraya, Shruti Prasthana, Smriti Prasthana, Nyaya Prasthana. Shruti Prasthana is Upanishad. All this knowledge base have been put forth in the form of Upanishad. Just like if the experiments in modern science is accepted by everybody. You got the book, Grace Anatomy, physiology books. They are our standard. It's called the Agama. So Upanishad forms are textbooks which reveal the knowledge base and the laws. Pratiprasthana, Upanishads are just revelation that come up from various masters. They do not follow certain norms of grammar and rigors of grammar and others. Therefore, there was need to edit them, put them in easily language, and put it in a form of this thing. You will conduct all the experiment. Finally, you have to put in the form of a thesis. In the thesis, you have regular chapter 1, chapter 2, everything. Similarly, the Smritis brought out all these things in a very nice way, easily understandable way, in a systematic way. And they are the Manusmriti, Yagnavalkya Smriti, and several others, and Bhagavad Gita is considered the biggest of the Smritis. Smriti means retold, edited. Then we have the Nyaya Prasthana. Any system, if it had to stand the test of time, it should be in the framework, mathematical equations, as you said, logic, rigorous logic, and that's called the Nyaya Prasthana. Nyaya is logic, and logic is mathematics today, in terminology, and they're all contained in Brahma Sutras. Whatever has been contained in the Upanishads, there are many, many arguments and others, and this all has to be resolved. That's all put in Brahma Sutra. So these are the three textbooks for our spirituality and yoga. So what is the structure? All creation is made of either mind or the prana. There are two models that have been put. Patanjali brought this entire Jagat is made out of mind. That's called Prakriti. And that which is beyond is called Purusha. Purusha Prakriti Sanyam. It's a duality model that he has given. But in the Prashnopanishad, it is the prana. Prana is the basic fabric of all the Jagat. Prana Chedam Vashe Sarvam Tridivayat Pratishtitam. So, what are the set of laws? Creation, sustenance, and destruction. That the trifold law of universe. This applies to all aspects of the world. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara are the names of this Trinity. And that which is beyond is Brahman. That's pure consciousness beyond the Trinity. So this is the entire picture of the Jagat, the 5 layers. Individually we have 5 bodies, and the world also have 5 layers of existence. And Om is the reality. That which is beyond Panchakosha is pure consciousness. Brahman. Brahman is the base of all this creation, and our original state is Parama-Atman. Therefore, we are all in that sense brothers and sisters, because we are just manifestation of that ultimate reality. What is it? Sat, Chit, and Ananda. It's a state of infinite knowledge, infinite bliss, infinite power and freedom. Purnamadaha, Purnamidam. So since our original state is this, in our life it has been built, whether we know it or not. We want more and more happiness, more and more bliss. We all want more and more knowledge. We all want more and more power. And we all want to be free. We want to overcome the miseries and other. Why? Why this has been built in all of us? Because it's our original state is that. So what is the goal of life? Is to move towards the reality. Is to manifest the divinity. So the Buddha, when he saw the miseries in life, he wanted to find ways by which the misery can be overcome. So he brought out the methodology for that. What are the ways for doing that? Then in the Buddhism we saw Kshanikavada and Shunyavada. And when Shankaracharya came, he said, this infinite world cannot come from a zero. Purnavadaha, Purnamidam, which we saw yesterday. So all this knowledge base is not kept only in our textbooks or kept in archive. They all has to be brought to society to meet the challenges of times. So why did Shankaracharya brought this Advaita Siddhanta not only for the rigor of itself? When Buddhism came into picture, in the whole society, the ideal was to become sannyasis, monks, and they started leaving out all their duties and coming out, and their ideal is to become the sannyasis. Therefore, there was a deterioration. And everything is kshanika. Therefore, people found kshanikavada. No? Therefore, every temper, why we should bother about anything? Do that. Similarly, the Mimamsakas, they say there is only gods and goddesses, there is nothing beyond. Manomaya Kosha is the highest. So by various homas, samanas, tyagas, chignas, we will be able to propitiate gods, and they are going to give the benefits. So we don't have to do anything. Our goal is only Swarga. So when this thing came up, the knowledge base, the total knowledge base was in a big deterioration. Therefore, Shankaracharya has to go around and first overcome the challenges of the Mimamsakas. And he was able to establish that knowledge, the ultimate reality is the ultimate. Sarga is not the ultimate goal. You have to go beyond that. And this was happening all over. The Advaita came into picture, and the society got reformed. The Gnana became very, very important. And the yoga, the bhakti, and the karma were all subordinate to the Gnana. Sarvam Gnane Parisamapyati. It all going on. Then after several decades, maybe a few centuries, deterioration started coming up. Aham Brahmasmi, I am that ultimate reality. Therefore, the people who were repositors of this Advaita, particularly in Kerala, the Brahmins, they become very egoistic. And what was the result? They created their own society, and all other people, backward castes and untouchables, were kept far away. If anybody by chance comes here, they thrash them out. Untouchability became so prominent. And if one person comes from here into this area, into the area where these Brahmins were living, they used to thrash him out. Oh, today my day is gone. Biggest sin. And they go and dip in the river and do that. Where is Advaita? Where is this nonsense of ego? Where Shankaracharya, everybody is divine. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Atma Brahma. Everybody is divine. But what happened in practice? Just came down. Why? Ego. The ego-ridden Brahmins in Kerala. Therefore, there was a need to revamp the entire reinterpretation of the Vedas. That came the Vishishtadvaita. In Vishishtadvaita, Ramanujacharya came and he said that you are not Brahman now, you are a Jivatma. You have got all imbalance in the Pranamaya Kosha, Vijnana Anandamaya Kosha, everywhere. And you are not Brahman now. The goal is to reach Brahman. So you have to transform yourself. Don't get the ego shoot that I am Brahman now and act so foolishly. You have to surrender. He gave a solution to the ego. What is the solution? Surrender. Prapatti bhava, sharanagati bhava. You have to do that. Because ahankara is the main thing. That is avidya, aspita, raga, dvesha, vinivesha. Aspita is the ahankara. That has to be completely vanquished. Therefore, Vishtadvaita started coming up everywhere. The temples were built, pujas were made, and total faith in gods and goddesses, and everything went. They learned how to surrender, prapatti bhava, and the society was revamped. After a few decades, again deterioration came. So they had complete faith in God, and the foreign invasion came into our country. They started smashing temples, gods and goddesses everywhere. They said, if gods themselves cannot take care of themselves, what we can do as mere human beings, we can't do anything. They just became lazy, lethargic in the name of surrender. How the deterioration takes place, you see. That's why Krishna says, how the yoga has gone earlier. Sakalaina mahata, yoga nashta parantapa, he says. Similarly, and the deterioration practice. So in the name of total faith in God is all pervasive. He is most powerful. He can protect himself. Ganesha can take care of himself. Krishna can take care of himself. Rama can take care of himself. And when he's being smashed, if he cannot do that, what we can do? We are so petty, so small. How there is deterioration. Therefore, there was a need for a revamp again. Madhvacharya came and said, yes, now you have to surrender. But you cannot go out of your duty. Duty is first. Karma has to be converted into karma yoga. And you cannot be just lazy like this thing. Kshatriya tamas, be Rajasic and be Sattvic and start working. And he showed and came up the Dvaita philosophy. Emergence of Dvaita came. And that's how our Upanishadic teaching and our ancient masters thing all were made to meet the challenges of the society. Then what happened? Then we entered into our industrial revolution, scientific revolution. And as we started understanding, we thought everything is nothing but physical. There is nothing like God, goddesses, and beyond this thing. This is Nastikavada. Nastikavada is the Charvaka philosophy. What is the aim of life? You have to be very happy, sense pleasures. So you earn money and enjoy life. Life is for enjoyment. So what is the goal of life? Goal of life is to become a millionaire, a billionaire, a trillionaire. Or you become an emperor and other things. Life is for enjoyment. Sense pleasures are the most important. What is Charvaka philosophy? Runam krutva ghrutam pibet. Don't worry how you earn money. Hook or crook. If you can do right royal way, earn. You go to the IT professions and earn more and more money. Fine, right royal. Or you go for the scams. You become a politician and you started doing scams and you can earn. Politicians, why they become? Okay, now lakhs of crores of rupees I can get. See what has happened in the scam. Hook or crook. By integral things or otherwise you start doing that. And therefore, you don't have to bother. Because once you die, everything is finished. Who is going to ask? You take loans, enjoy life. Once you die, who is going to care? This is the Charvaka philosophy. This time in America when I went last year, I was really very, very, disturbed and got very, very unhappy. What is the law that has come? The thieves have become very, very strong. They can steal anything. In the car, if you keep your laptop in the thing back, you'll just find out in 2 minutes, they can die and take it out. If you leave the house unattended for 10 days, the whole house will be empty. One of our very close friend, a great yoga master, yoga teacher, he went for 15 days after long corona where he had not gone anywhere. When they came back, the whole house is empty. And the worst thing that has happened, legally you are allowed to steal up to $800. So people go there, they bring whatever they want from the metros and super bazaars before $800. Legal, you can take. You go to the restaurant, eat whatever you want, $800. Are we not going the Charvaka way? So, what are the ways? Science, this thing. Therefore, the emergence of scientific revolution has to be brought into the Sanatana Dharma, to the yoga. We have to bring evidence-based to yoga spirituality. This is the vision of yoga expanded by the great masters, Swami Vivekananda and the Trinity, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sharadama, and Swami Vivekananda. As a brilliant student, when he got the realization, yes, this has to be brought. And his great contribution in Chicago Parliament of Religions, you all know. And what did he do? That is not quarrel that jnana is highest, or bhakti is highest, or karma is highest. All lead to the same goal. Earlier, karma, bhakti, and yoga were subordinate to jnana. People were fighting. And when Ramanujacharya came, bhakti is the highest. and all others are superior. You may have gnana, but if you don't have bhakti, no. Then came karma yoga. Karma yoga is the highest. You may have gnana, you may have bhakti. If you don't translate it into action, no use. This all has to be revamped. Therefore, Swamiji in his right perception, vision, he brought that all lead to the same goal. The goal of every yoga is to reach the highest, the moksha. Therefore, the four streams of yoga. He said, Gnana is Gnana Yoga, Bhakti is Bhakti Yoga, Karma is Karma Yoga. What about yoga, Patanjali Yoga? He meant it as a Raja Yoga. Path of willpower, path of intellect, path of action, or path of emotions. Choose any one of them, or two of them, three of them, all of them, and do that. The great master Aurobindo, he said, we want all these four. It's the integral yoga, because we are challenged at all fronts. At the physical level, action level, willpower level, emotion level, intellectual level, you are challenged today in the modern times. So we want integral yoga. The great master Aurobindo brought. And there is unity in diversity. So this is the transformation that has taken place in the world at large, and thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, yoga has spread everywhere with its holistic perspective. Yoga is a science of holistic living with evidence base. So this university was created for that purpose, based on the teachings of Swami Vivekananda, and to make yoga a socially relevant science. Earlier, either Ramanujacharya or Madhvacharya or Shankaracharya were to make this Sanatana Dharma as a socially relevant science. The same thing has to be brought forth. So what we did, all applications of yoga, everything is Brahman. Therefore, in all fields of activity, we should have this dimension. So we had four divisions, which most of you know. Division of yoga, spirituality. You have to go deeper and deeper to understand the tremendous ocean of knowledge that's available. Patanjali's, great contribution, how to go beyond the samadhi, to various levels of samadhi. How to go beyond the Gnana Yoga, Siddha Prajna and beyond. All these things had to be unraveled. Ramakrishna was the personification of that great sadhana. Such a great scientist, unschooled, unread, but he was able to understand and get the vision of Ma Kali in the Bhakti Yoga. Then he said, I was a Bhakta of Kali, I get the vision of Kali. Somebody else is the Rama Bhakta or Krishna Bhakta, what is going to happen? He started working on them. And he said, yes, you may worship any god or goddess, and when you do this process, then you can reach that Sakshatkara. You can see God in flesh and blood. In a Nastika Sampradaya, he was able to show, because nobody was believing that God exists. It's possible to see God. Then came the next question. Different religions, do they also get, you practice Christianity, you practice Islam? And so yes, all streams of the bhakti lead to the goal. And the religions also are true. Therefore, we accept all religions as true, not just tolerate religions. That was the grand vision that Ramakrishna gave. Then came the higher expansion. That Totapuri, he said, all is our mental concoction. He went on doing the japa for Ram, 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 and he got the Sakshatkara of Ram. It's a concoction of the mind. There's no reality. So, what is to be done? You have to go to the Advaita. You have to go beyond all the mind, emotions, intellect. And he did the complete Advaita sadhana and got the realization. And therefore, he understood all path lead ultimately to the Nirvikalpa. And that I mentioned. So that is the grand scientific, inner scientific research that Ramakrishna did and told Vivekananda that you experience it and you have to put it to the people at large. Research should not be only in research papers, it has to be brought into society. Bring it social relevance. This is what Swamiji had done, this is what we are all doing. In the university, when we started this, we taught this yoga spirituality, division of yoga on life sciences, division of yoga on management studies, division of yoga on physical sciences, division of yoga on humanities. So yoga and its application. So the first book, most of you might have seen, yoga and its applications. That book everybody should read. How Swami Vivekananda has given the vision, which is being translated here in that university. Therefore, all of you should be, familiar with the grand vision that Swami Vivekananda has given. So, when we study the Upanishads, when we understand its grandeur, we must recognize these aspects that have been brought forth: Sattva reality, Sattva happiness, and the prakriyas, the methodology that are used. Most of you are doing MSc, you have to do a research, and people who are doing their PhD, they have to do intensive research, scientific research. It can be literary research and others. You can unravel and bring about. The beautiful question asked by our friend is that, can we develop mathematical equation for the things that have been put? You have to go to the Brahma Sutra. You have to go to the Nyaya, or Navina Nyaya, the modern Nyaya. And you can bring about those dimensions of the rigorous logical dimension put in the form of mathematical equation. So we have some of our people in Nagpur, and Dr. Varnekar and his son, they have been working on this dimension as to how mathematical equations can be brought forth for the Navina Nyaya. So you're all excellent people in various fields. We must all bring about and unravel the mysteries that are put forth there. So that is the dimension that we had to bring. It's the way forward for us, since nearly 150, 200, 250 people, or even 500 people are there MSc. Each one of you can take a small portion of the Upanishads, of the Brahma Sutras, and study them in depth, and take to the Nyaya and these things and see how best you can bring about. How to bring this into our forefront is the challenge in front of us, because it has to be acceptable to the society at large. Over 40 years, we have been able to show yoga and its application to health, asthma, diabetes, hypertension, heart problem, epilepsy, migraine, irritable bowel syndrome. We have been able to show the usefulness of yoga. Now a time has come, we have to spread it everywhere. So, whether this Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda are also true, can we bring evidence base? Therefore, we started a new project in the name of Varaha Mihira. He personally made 3 contributions. That is, Yogena Chittasya, Padena Vacha, Malam Sharirasya. Yoga, grammar, Ayurveda. Similarly, Varaha Mihira was one of the greatest masters. He made contribution to mathematics, astronomy, astrology. Those who are interested in mathematics, they must study Varaha Mihira, Navina Nyaya, and huge ocean of knowledge. And he has written 15 Brihad Granthas. But then he did only 196 sutras in one. He has expanded the vision. But Varaha Mihira brought all these dimensions. So we have to study them. It's unknown almost. But if you look at that, it's something fantastic. So this is what we have taken up in setting up a center here, Varaha Mihira, Center for Advanced Research and Vedic Technology Research. Advanced Center for Vedic Technology Research. VMAC ATR, we call it. So you are welcome to join hands with that. So initially we are taking only one portion, a small portion of Varaha Mihira's Bruhat Samhita. What is it? Medical astrology. Because our specialty has been in dealing with yoga for the medical. 4 ailments we are taking: diabetes, hypertension and cardiology, breast cancer, and obesity and PPH, promotes some positive health. What are the pujas that we have to do? What are the gods and goddesses we have to worship? What are the homas we have to do? Everything had to be done. And for that, we are standardizing the protocol of homas. Just like in yoga, there were a lot of diversities and others. When we started way back in 1978, myself and Nagaratna went around the country. There was so much of controversy. Somebody said, Shirshasana is very hazardous for hypertension. Some other great yoga masters, they said, no. Hypertension can be cured by Shirshasana. Such controversy. how to bring them together. We went into the integral approach of yoga therapy, working with the Panchakosha, Adi and Vyadi, everything we unraveled. Similarly, we had to unravel the mysteries in the homas, havanas, yajnas, pujas, niyamas, and others. And that is the way ahead. And if it took for us to establish the yoga and its efficacy over the last 40 years, now we can do that in the next 3 to 4 years, the efficacy, because all of you are there as excellent, brilliant people and having interest in this dimension. Each one of you can take this thing. Earlier we used to have only myself, Nagaratna, and 3 of us, Mohan, Subhadra, and few people. And we did not have the funding, we did not have a university. We have now all of you in the university, and you can take up this, can work wonders. This is to bring yoga, Pura Mimamsa dimension, Karma Kanda and Upasana Kanda into action. Those who want, you can write to me or write to Natesh to take up these things. So this is how we can unravel the mysteries that have been put forth. So this forums the whole essence. Mandukya talked about the Prasthanatraya, the 3 stages, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Jagrat and Swapna are essentially the manifested form. They are governed by the Tripudi, seer, seen, and the seen. And Vyashti, Samashti, and the interaction. But that's the manifest, called the Vyakta form. But Sushupti is the unmanifest, called the Abhyakta. There, you don't have the differentiation. In deep sleep, your mind has gone into the seed form. Mind is not absent in Sushupti. Similarly, when you go to the higher dimensions of the unmanifest, Abhyakta, we have the Samadhis. So, Patanjali's great contribution to tell us that Samadhi is not one stage, it is not the end, but you have got several Samadhis. Just like the Ashtanga Yoga there, Ashta Samadhi have been talked about. And what are they? Vichara, Vitarka, Ananda, Aspita, Anugamat, Sampragnataha, Tadanyaha, Sampragnataha. So, these Samadhis will raise us to higher and higher heights. This is the advanced Raj Yoga. Hatha Yoga helps us to reach this higher dimension. So the objective of Hatha Yoga is to go to the Raj Yoga, the higher advanced yoga dimension. So that's had to be brought forth. And when we go to higher and higher levels, what happens? You get higher powers, higher knowledge, higher perception, higher bliss, most important, and higher growth. The whole process to raise ourselves from our normal to become great human beings. That we can all become. But from great, we have to become superhuman beings. That is going into the Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnananandamaya course. What characterizes that is the Siddhis, as we call. Parapsychology, track the extrasensory perceptions, and probably telepathy, and psychokinesis to some extent. But our ancient masters were able to go to much higher. Levitation, flying in air, Anima, Mahima, Prima, all the Ashtasiddhis, all these things can be systematically obtained by method that Patanjali has given. Sayama, Parinama, transformation. That all has to be unraveled to establish the dimension. Therefore, the Mandukya Upanishad gives the 3 stages, Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. Sushupti is the Abhyakta. Abhyakta contains Sushupti, that is the deep sleep, and also all the Samadhis. What characterizes that is the Smriti. Patanjali very clearly brought out that dimension in the Abhyakta phase, in which he says there is all this Smriti. He divided them into a dimension. Pramana, Vipareya, Vikalpa are these things in the 3, Jagrat and Swapna. Nidra, Smritayaha. Nidra is deep sleep. Smriti is the entire set of all our samadhis. Because memory is that very much. So when we die, we go into this higher dimension. Manomaya, Vijnananandamaya course, where all our personality traits are very much present there. Then when we come back, we carry that as the continuity of life. And that is the Karma Siddhanta. We can explain this musical prodigies, how previous life they have grown this one, and they come, they have been. Mathematical prodigies, Shakuntala Devi, Ramanujam, how they were able to get this, that's all by the previous life. Therefore, according to yoga, according to Bhagavad Gita, according to Sanatana Dharma, there's the continuity of life. We take birth, Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Then you come back again to the next. Cycles of birth and death goes on. And our human system has evolved. Each one of us might have got hundreds and thousands of lives before. And we all have come to this stage where we have certain level of tamas, rajas and sattva. We have to increase our sattva and go beyond. So that's the continuity of life. Therefore, whatever we achieve in this life will be carried to the left life. So if you're able to get a glimpse of samadhi in this life, that will be carried on to the next time. Automatically, you can get the glimpse of samadhi very easily. I was wondering how, in our cyclic meditation, out of 100 people, about 5 people get the glimpse of samadhi. How remaining do not get? Because of the Pura Janma Samskara. So therefore, all of you have this Pura Janma Samskara in the form of Sanchita Karma. When we born, we have the Prarabdha Karma, the memory store, personality traits. It can all help us. So therefore, we should continue the process. Arjuna naturally asked Krishna, you see, I do all these things, but supposing I fail to get to the advance and the moksha, what is going to happen? I said, don't worry. When you die, when you come back, again, you can come back to such a congenial atmosphere to continue your yoga sadhana and go higher and higher. That the assurance given by Bhagavan. So the Upanishads is such ocean of knowledge, treasure house of knowledge. Both science and technology of the Vedas are brought forth in the Prasthanatraya, the Bhuttra Mimamsa and Pura Mimamsa, Karma Kanda and the Upasana Kanda. That we close today's session with Shanti Mantra all together. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all.